Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. And we are the sound. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. It is another rainy, miserable day here in South Central Pennsylvania. But we hope you're all enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. Probably my third favorite holiday, if I'm being honest. Steve, I'm a big Memorial Day weekend guy. I'm a big grill and party that kind of person. How are you gonna spend Memorial Day this weekend?
Yeah, we've always just gone to a cookout. One of either Talia's friends, my friends, family friends. But yeah, it's just about being together. I mean, obviously, remembering those who have fallen and remembering those who came before us to make sure that we can continue to have our cookout here. So definitely a big Memorial Day guy.
And we hope that if you are watching this during your Memorial Day cookout, we hope that everyone is tuning into the sound, listening and getting some cogent and intelligent sports analysis. Because, folks, it is once again another great day for an NBA show. We got a lot of good topics to cover, a lot of differing opinion topics. I mean, you can be swayed one way or the other, but I guess you guys can be the judges of how you decide. Before we get into it, though, we do have a quick thing to mention. Earlier today, the NFL officially decided to not ban the tush push after the vote to ban lost 22-10. Steve, I had given my opinion on the tush push 3 weeks ago, I think. It was an episode when you were not here. So what do you think about the tush push, it not being banned, or if it should have even been up to be banned in the first place?
No, I don't think it should have even been a discussion to be banned. Listen, medical statistics have already shown that it is not a dangerous play. And the only reason that teams are against it is because they can't stop it. There is no other statistical reason that you can give me other than they just can't stop it. And so, no, just because somebody's better at it than others doesn't mean that you should ban it.
Yeah, look, I know people are upset, but when one team just does it better than the others, I mean, there is a lot of jealousy. You want to take it away from the guys that do it best, but I mean, I guess we're just going to keep it rolling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, go Birds.
Go Birds always. All right. Our first topic of the day, the Western Conference Finals getting underway with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who would have thought these two teams were going to be here to make a trip to the finals? Certainly not the Sound. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards, obviously the two best players on these teams. Two young, up-and-coming, rising stars and talents in this league. Steve, if you were a playoff team or on a playoff team, not Thunder or Wolves, just on a playoff team, who would you rather have on your team as the best player? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Anthony Edwards?
So this one was really close for me, to be honest. I went back and forth after looking at both of these guys, but by the end of it, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ended up being my answer. I don't think this series is going any less than 6. So when I look at how Anthony Edwards has done in series that have gone 6 or more games, you got to go back to last year because their first 2 series this year, they beat a banged up Golden State Warriors team without Steph in 5. And in the first round, they beat the Lakers in 5 as well. So to go to a series that I would find to be comparable to this, you got to go back to last year in the Western Conference semifinals when they went and played against the Denver Nuggets. Now, in that series specifically, there in Game 6 and Game 7, Anthony Edwards was subpar, especially in Game 7. Even though they won 98-90, he only had 16 points in that game. He was 6 of 24 from the field, and he was 1 of 8 from the field in the fourth quarter. So in must-win games and big moments in series that go longer than 6 games, Anthony Edwards has been inconsistent in his play. In game 6, I think he had 28 points. He played pretty well, but then in game 7, he kind of was a disappearing act. Then you go into the next series where they went into the Western Conference Finals, played the Dallas Mavericks. They lost 4-1 in that series, and Anthony Edwards was not good in that series either. Now, I know that was not a 6 or 7 game series, but that's the most recent series that we've seen that he's lost. His points per game were 19, 21, and 26. Julius Randle and him have kind of been battling as to who is the best player in some of these games. I mean, Julius Randle has outscored him in a number of games over the last two series, and has also been pretty impactful in closeout games, but also games on the road for the Wolves. Anthony Edwards is having a slightly subpar year this year in the playoffs than he did last year, but it's more about what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing. And this season, he's averaging 29, 6, and 6 these playoffs. And there's two big moments in these playoffs that I looked at that to me were big reasons why I'm picking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This year in game 7, Shai against the Denver Nuggets in a must-win game had 35, 3, and 4 with 3 steals, and he shot 63% from the field. In that must-win game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander far surpassed the play of Anthony Edwards when his team needed him the most. And especially coming off of just announced the MVP award, he finally has that weight off of his shoulders. And now they're on the precipice of being able to do something that hasn't been done since Kevin Durant was there, and that's get them back to the finals. And I think when you look at what Shai has done all season, Cam, and you look at what he's done throughout these playoffs and who directly he's had to go through to get to where they're at, to me, I just see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a leader and in such an impactful player on both ends of the court for his team that it just kind of gave him the edge in that must-win game in that similar scenario with the same exact situation last year to this year. It just kind of gave him that edge for me.
So that's a good argument. I mean, a lot of that is who's the better player, and I don't think. I mean, I'm certainly not going to argue that the reigning NBA MVP is going to be not as good as Anthony Edwards. Clearly, I think SGA is the better player and a top 3 player at the very least in the NBA. My argument, first, I'm taking Anthony Edwards, if that wasn't obvious, because I'm not so much concerned about the actual ability on the court, but I think Anthony Edwards holds far more impactful intangibles than SGA has. Like I said, while Shai is the objectively best player, I think Anthony Edwards holds more in the X factor department. And one of the supporting arguments for Oklahoma City and why, they might win the finals is because how connected the teams are, how connected the teammates are, how they're supporting each other. It almost feels like a college roster in a sense. And when you're doing the post-game interviews and SGA is the one being interviewed, all his teammates are there. They're all like around him in post games and stuff. And I imagine in a locker room, he also has a very gravitating presence. But I don't think that is a rallying leadership presence. I think SGA is simply a cool, for lack of a better term, he's too cool. And when you're on the same team as the cool best player, you want to be around him and attached to him because you want to also be one of those cool players. I think guys are around Anthony Edwards and rally around Anthony Edwards because he has them believing in themselves, not simply just believing in him. Like if you shut down SGA, you take away his mid-range, you take away his free throw shooting, whatever the case may be, he doesn't have, let's say, many other ways to truly attack you. Whereas Anthony Edwards, I think, with his trash talk, with how he can he can be a catalyst for guys on the court and on the bench, how he can get the fans going, especially when they're in Minnesota. He can change a lot of that energy and dynamic where I don't think Shai has that. And Steve, I'm curious to get your opinion on this analogy I'm about to share. I think SGA and Anthony Edwards is sort of like Steph versus Draymond. So Steph Curry, obviously the most important and best player on those finals runs because he's Steph Curry. But Draymond Green was the glue guy. Draymond Green was the engine in the Golden State Warriors. And I think you can make an argument if you're building a team, you can replace Steph with somebody else. But Draymond in his own skill set is something that cannot be replicated very easily. So I think you can find someone like Shea who's just simply an amazing player to be the number one option. But can you bring in the X factor, the extra stuff that Anthony Edwards has of being the catalyst, being a true vocal rally around me leader? I don't think that's easily as done. So if I were on a playoff team, I would rather have Anthony Edwards.
And Anthony Edwards on a team of young players like Oklahoma City, I don't know if he would have the same kind of impact that Shea has. I feel like he doesn't I don't know if I want to say he doesn't have the leadership that Shea has, but Shea almost leads through his play, not so much what he says, if that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like his ability to facilitate the offense, and it's more on court for him. So it really depends what kind of team you have. A team of veterans that need a rallying cry, Ant Edwards is perfect for you. A team of young budding stars who just need someone to lead the way. It's kind of like, do you like Hennessy or do you like Ciroc? It's really, you're kind of sitting at the same table, but it depends what you value in a player. So, it's a hard argument for me, man. I still got to say SGA.
I also think, and we talked about a while ago about the NBA ratings and how that has changed. And one of my main points was the way teams are constructed and the way basketball looks to me is changed. SGA is the epitome of new school basketball. Yeah. He is technically proficient. He is a great, all-around player, checks all the boxes. There couldn't be anything more you'd want from him at playing the sport. Anthony Edwards is the old school basketball where he's obviously still good, maybe not quite as efficient, but he's going to be in your face. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to be athletic. He's going to be high energy. Like that stuff that like I was saying, the old NBA, you don't see as much action, much high flying, as much glued to the screen watching the action. Oklahoma City is a lot of ball movement, a lot of passing, a lot of like quick defense to go on transitions. That's all great and efficient and really good basketball. But you can get it just as good with a little bit more the other way. So, like I said, I think since they're maybe like I said, not as close playing wise, like in terms of the league hierarchy, but in terms of what you're getting output wise, they are so close that I think, like I said, that extra X factor stuff is what gives Anthony Edwards just a slight edge.
Yeah.
Moving on to our second topic of the day, heading from the West to the East, the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers also fighting in the conference finals. This is the first conference finals appearance for the Knicks since 2000. And there have been a lot of conversations now on where Jalen Brunson ranks amongst all-time Knicks and if he is one of the possible 5 greatest Knicks of all time. Do you think Jalen Brunson is a top 5 Knick of all time?
Cam, I honestly don't know, because I feel like when I looked at this list, just threw some names off the top of my head, Patrick Ewing, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, guys like Charles Oakley, guys like Bernard King. Like when you start looking at the upper echelon, the hierarchy of the Knicks, what Jalen Brunson has already achieved 3 seasons into the Knicks is incredibly impressive. He went to the second round last year, but he was the clear-cut leader of that team, pushed the Pacers to Game 7 before unfortunately losing. But now this year he's got them into the conference finals, and it's more about how immediately good he made the Knicks when he got there, right? When I look at his resume of what he's done on the Knicks, to me, it's hard because a guy like Bernard King, who's got 2 first-team All-NBAs while being on the Knicks, he has 1 top 5 MVP finish, and he averaged 27, 5, and 3. Jalen Brunson's numbers are super comparable to a guy like him, yet he's only been there 3 seasons. So it's really hard for me to already put him with guys that have been on the Knicks for many more seasons than him. And I mean, I guess if he's on the list, he's 5, but he wouldn't be any higher. But does he jump Bernard King? Does he jump him to 5? Does he jump a Carmelo Anthony into that list? That's where I struggled. And I'm hoping that you can provide some clarity through some maybe other statistics or something I didn't see. But as of this moment, I have him at 6.
So who was your top 5?
So I'll give it to you in order. So in order, my top 5 was Patrick Ewing was number 1. Willis Reed was number 2. Walt Frazier was number 3. I personally have Charles Oakley at number 4. Now, people are going to look at me weird when I say this, but Charles Oakley was known as one of the toughest and most tenacious defenders of the late 80s and early 90s, alongside Patrick Ewing on that team. In the 93-94 season, this is still an NBA record. Charles Oakley played every single game from the beginning of the season till the last game of their playoff run, and it was 107 games straight that he started for the Knicks. It's still a record today. What he meant to that franchise, to me, is very Udonis Haslem-esque of what he meant to Miami, as far as the beloved by the fan base in and outside of the locker room. So, and then at 5, I have Bernard King.
It truly depends, I think, on what you value and what you're looking for. So we have kind of the same top 5, but different. I don't have Charles Oakley anywhere in my top 5. So I got, in order, Patrick Ewing, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Bernard King, and then I, at this point in time, have Jalen Brunson at number 5. But it is very easily swayed to, or you can very easily make an argument to have somebody else at number 5, Carmelo or Oakley, whatever the case may be. Jalen Brunson, in his just 3 short seasons with the Knicks, 26-3-7, bumps up to 34-7 in the playoffs. He is also one of the only Knicks that has a top 5 MVP finish. Now, Patrick Ewing has 6 top 5 MVP finishes, but he's also the greatest Knick. So can't really touch him yet there. He's also potentially the first Knick to go back to the finals since Patrick Ewing. And we also just mentioned the first to go back since 2000. So he's already touching heights that a lot of Knicks, haven't already had. And a lot of the Knicks we have mentioned are the Knicks of yore. Like, obviously, Walt Frazier, I think, has a I almost had him at 1. It's a strong argument. 21-7-6 in the playoffs. He made 8 playoff appearances total with the Knicks in his 10 seasons in New York. He also made 3 finals and 5 straight conference finals appearances. Without question, like Carmelo Anthony, who is arguably a top 50 player of all time, is better than Jalen Brunson. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about their tenure on the Knicks. Carmelo never even made a conference finals in New York. Correct. And he also only has 1 top 5 MVP finish, correct, same as Jalen Brunson. Bernard King is an interesting one. That is, if he's gonna, if I think if he wins a championship this year, he may jump Bernard King. Because all Bernard King has, he averaged 31, 5, and 3 in the playoffs for the Knicks. He made, the 2 playoff appearances, he has 1 scoring title, and like you said, the 3 All-NBA teams. So there's not a whole lot there. He got injured. He was losing to Bird Celtics, but he did beat Isaiah's Pistons, so it just didn't have a long run. But Frazier, Ewing, and Willis Reed, I think, are definitive top 3 guys. So Jalen Brunson, it's not like there was a lot he has to yet accomplish in New York to already go up higher on these lists. And to talk about Willis Reed a little bit, who we haven't exactly touched on a whole lot, he actually gets worse in the playoffs. Goes from 19-13 to 17-10 in 7 playoff trips with the Knicks. I think Jalen Brunson, like I said, with a title can jump up to 4. After that, though, gonna be very, 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 very hard. He's gonna have to do this for multiple seasons and have multiple, top 5 MVP-esque seasons to jump any further on this list. There just haven't been a lot of Knicks greats. Like, unfortunately, for being as historic as the New York Knicks franchise is, there aren't a lot of guys who touched the peaks that would get you in these all-time conversations. So, like I said, there is not much Jalen Brunson needs to chase or accomplish to move up on this list.
When I look at Carmelo Anthony, when I'm comparing the two, I look at who Carmelo had to go through, even in his playoff losses. And when I look at who Carmelo had to go through in the playoffs, he had to go through Boston with Paul George and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, Miami, and then Boston again. So, like, Jalen Brunson in his playoff career hasn't really had to go through much elite competition. If Jalen Brunson makes the finals, if he wins this series and goes to the finals, he is unequivocally top 4. He doesn't even need to win. He just needs to make it. And like you and me have talked about when Mahomes in the NFL came into the Chiefs and how immediately good he made them. The moment that Jalen Brunson has come to the Knicks, he's made them immediately contenders in the East. And that has to mean something. I think by the end of this, hearing what you kind of said and your argument that you've made, I definitely would have Jalen Brunson at least 5.
Moving on to our third and final topic, it is everyone's favorite game show, Who Is That? Who Is That is a game where Steve and I try to guess the NBA or NFL player in 5 clues or less. The less clues you take, the better. It is my turn to guess, and it's Steve's turn to give the clues. He is determined to get all 5 clues. He had mentioned earlier when we were playing the show, he doesn't think I've ever taken more than 3 guesses. So, Steve, hope you got a good one, and are you ready to play? Who is that?
Let's get into it. Clue number 1. I am a 6-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, and average 26 and 3 over my career.
6-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA. So all his stuff's right. It's all happened at one time. 26 and 3. I'm guessing he's gonna be either a tall shooting guard or a small forward. He can't be a point guard. He can't be a big. There's not enough rebounds, not enough assists. I'm going to give a throwaway. This was the first person that came to my head, even though I don't think this is correct. I'm going to just guess. Ray Allen.
No.
Okay.
Clue number 2. I am a 7-time All-NBA defense member. I have 1 All-Star MVP, and I was drafted by the Pacers, but traded on draft night.
26 and 3. 7-time all defense. It's a lot. It's a lot of all defense. And 1 All-Star MVP. I'm trying to think of who would only, there's not a lot of repeat winners.
There may be more accolades coming, but that's what I'm giving you for now.
I don't even have I'm trying to just think of not a throwaway guess, but a guess that's good enough that I can just get to the next clue. Okay, well, I'm thinking too modern too. Like, who are some older players that would have also fit this description?
No, you can think modern.
Oh, okay.
Post 2000.
Okay, that's helpful. Post 2000, 7-time. Why I'm stuck on this. Who would have had 1 great stretch that was primarily 26 and 3, 7-time all defense, 6. So I'm guessing this is either an underwhelming first option or a really good number 2 option. 7-time all defense. They have to be. I'm thinking they're a wing. I truly don't think it's this person. I can't, my brain isn't functioning right now, even though I know it's not this person. No, I don't even want to say it. Because it's such a bad guess. 7-time all defense, 6-time all NBA. I'm going in my head, I'm like, who's holding the All-Star MVP? Who's going to average 20 and 6 and hold that up? All right, I'm just going to give a throwaway guess. I hate this guess. I don't want to say it. It's not him. He's not going to win the All-Star MVP. He's not winning the All-Star MVP. I don't think this person has this many All NBA defenses. But I'm just gonna get Paul George.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Clue number 3. I have 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs, and 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Okay, so who's got multiple finals MVPs? Let's just go through. Let's just think. No. So no. And then it would no.
I can see the calculation happening. I can see it.
I might have it.
Send it.
Let me keep going. Wait, hold on. Let me keep going. So no. Kawhi Leonard?
It is Kawhi Leonard.
Man,
well done.
Why
sir.
couldn't I get that? I was on the right track. God,
really
I was hitting that. I was nailing that description. Well, kind of.
So clue 4 was the Pacers traded me to the Spurs for George Hill. And clue number 5 was I played college at San Diego State.
I would have gotten it for sure by 5-4. I definitely would have gotten it. I'm so disappointed I didn't get. Why did I not think of him? Because he dies every year. He's erased from my memory for the last few seasons. I can't believe I didn't think of him for those all defensive teams. Do you know who I was? There were 2 people floating around in my head who I knew. One, they never won a Finals or All-Star MVP, and 2, I knew they didn't have all NBA defenses. Do you know who those 2 people were? Who I didn't want to say out loud.
Well, I thought Paul George was one of them. I definitively thought Paul George was one of them.
No,
it wasn't.
Well, I didn't think of him till I guessed it. Actually, I didn't think of him till the end. But I knew he didn't have.
I don't know who.
I knew he didn't have all those All NBA defensive teams.
Who were you thinking?
Sean Marion. And hold on, Rip Hamilton.
I'm real glad you didn't say that.
That's why I was like, I'm embarrassed to even say those out loud because I knew that they weren't it, but that was the type of player I had in my head. So,
but hey, you know what? It only took you 3 once again.
It did only take me 3 once again. I mean, you gave me a boost with the telling me it was post 2000.
I know.
At that point, all it was just counting down the years. But yeah, that was a good one. But the elusive 5 clues is still out there. It is it's still out there. Got it once again in 3. But we hope you all enjoyed this rendition of Who Is That. If you have player suggestions, clue suggestions, let us know in the comments. We'll try to get to those to have each other guess the player. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and this has been another installment of Who Is That? And that's going to do it for us today, guys. We hope you enjoyed watching and or listening. We hope you have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. Make sure you are liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel, The Sound. Make sure you're hitting that bell notification button to know whenever we post, which is every Friday at 3 o'clock. We also hope that you follow our Instagram page at @thesound_YT. And folks, always remember, that if you are ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, listen to The Sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. We hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Stay cool, stay safe, take care. We'll see you next time. Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.